Some absolutely shocking news keeps happening surrounding the Nintendo Switch 2, and that includes some updates today on the pre-order status for Nintendo Switch 2, and that's already shocking enough. We have updates on the Nintendo Direct that's happening tomorrow for Mario Kart World, and some context behind that. Oh, we have even more because Nintendo is messing up in the Nintendo Today app already, and this just adds to the further confusing messaging coming out of Nintendo. And I guess since this confusing messaging is happening on the Nintendo Today app in North America, I guess Nintendo of America is again screwing up, which is just something I hate to even bring up. It is a consistent pattern at this point that we can't just keep ignoring, and so much more. We actually have quite a few stories packed into this, so why don't you go ahead and buckle on up as we tell you about today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Mamba and Supcase because they wanted me to show off a bunch of their Nintendo Switch 2 grips and case things here to make your Nintendo Switch 2 just a little bit more comfortable on launch day. So right here, you are seeing a Nintendo Switch 2 in one of their clear cases. This is a Mamba case here. It's got some cool features where you go like this on the edges to open it up. All of these cases have this feature. This one features a bit of a softer plastic, and then it's really easy to take off. If you need to, you can just go ahead and peel it up, and it just comes off just like that. Also, we have a sup case here, which works very similar. You see how it bends down? It just gives you a different feel and style to it. It just kind of goes on like this. So I didn't line it up right. There we go. Snaps on. Cool. What's also cool about all of the cases we're showing today is they can actually be put in the Nintendo Switch 2 dock. Just like that. You do not need to take them off for docked mode. And if you ever need to take off the Joy-Con, all you got to do is put that down, grab your Joy-Con, and take it off, just like that. And we sit there, and we put it right back on, snap it on, it's good to go. It makes a much more comfortable grip. You can get these over on their respective website for a little over $20. As you see here, we have the cases here, a few of the UB Pros. This is the ones by Supcase. Pretty cool stuff here. You can see they all run roughly between $21 to $23. And then over on Mamba, you can see they also have similar stuff here, running between $19.99, $20.99, $21, etc., etc. They also have a charge grip and all of that. So really great companies to get your accessories from, ready for day one of Switch 2. And I want to thank Mamba and Supcase for sponsoring this video. Also want to remind you we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2, and you can check that out through the link down in the pinned comment or in the description. Now, let's go ahead and dive into the first bit of news. I know what you guys want to know about. You want updates on pre-orders. We talked about some updates yesterday, but there's some further context that happened after that video went up that I want to make sure we feature. So we're back over on Bill Kun over here. And as we scroll down, there's been some updates from Xbox controllers and all that, but we don't have to go too far to get the update for Nintendo Switch 2. So we originally had this update here dealing with the Canada date and how Canada wanted to align their stuff with the United States. That's originally why they delayed it, and you see the April 23rd date. Well, he actually has heard conflicting data for the United States. So here he's saying, hey, through some US retailers, I found conflicting data for the pre-order start date of Nintendo Switch 2 hardware. For Switch 2 consoles, April 24th or April 30th, depending on the retailer. For accessories like the Switch 2 Pro Controller, April 30th. It does seem like April 30th is probably a placeholder date. So that's either like Monday or Wednesday if you want to believe the 23rd. Obviously, right now, there's no official announcement. I was really hoping today we would get an official announcement. It is possible that there will be something in the Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart World Direct tomorrow. They could actually have the news there. I don't know. But what we're going to do here is get into an interview with Phil Spencer, because Phil Spencer was asked, he's the guy who obviously runs the whole Xbox division, on Nintendo Switch 2, and obviously if they're going to be supporting the platform. So this interview happened over at Variety, and he was asked, Switch 2 is set to be released soon. As you've begun to branch out with games available on PlayStation and Nintendo consoles, do you have plans for specific projects on Switch 2? Just coming right out and saying it. Here's what Phil Spencer said. So we have been supporting Switch 1. I want to support Switch 2. Nintendo has been a great partner. We think it is a unique way for us to reach players who aren't PC players, who aren't on Xbox. It lets us continue to grow our community of people that care about the franchises that we have, and that's really important for us to make sure we continue to invest in our games. I'm really a big believer in what Nintendo means for this industry and us continuing to support them. And getting the support from them for our franchises, I think, is an important part of our future. So then they say, does Nintendo revealing this next-gen console make you antsy to announce what Xbox has coming next in that space? No. I think all of us in this industry should focus on our communities and the player base that we're building. I get inspired by a lot of different creators do and other platform holders, but I believe in the plans that we have. Obviously, we're evolving what it means to be Xbox and meeting players in so many different places. There are 3 billion people who play video games on the planet, and I get up every morning and think about how Xbox can be more relevant to the 3 billion who play. And that's through making sure we're leading in how our games and platform features can be available in as many places as possible, whether that's cloud, whether it's people playing on PC, whether it's people playing on console. So we're really driven by trying to grow our franchises and our platforms to be an important part of gaming for as many of those 3 billion gamers as we can reach. In other words, no, he has absolutely nothing to announce today, but I'm guessing their June showcase, right? They do a showcase literally every single June. It's probably going to have a lot of Switch 2 logos because he did say he is dedicated to bringing their franchises to Nintendo. He's just not specifying which ones. So that's going to be interesting to see if that is going to include things like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Gears of War, Halo, what's exactly coming over? The new Fable game is, Doom the Dark Ages. Is that going to end up getting ported over? Lots of unknowns right now. So Microsoft, can't wait for your summer showcase. We'll be live reacting to it right here, just like we'll be live reacting to the Mario Kart Direct tomorrow. Now, you might think we're about to transition into talking about that Mario Kart Direct, but actually, Nintendo, why did I open my Nintendo Today app and get lied to? And you know what? Since I'm not great at recording, doing screen recordings on my phone, I know, I should. It's not that hard to do. A lot of you guys know how to do it. I'm just going to go over to the Nintendo Switch 2 Reddit. It also encapsulates a problem that you put out on the Nintendo Today app. So Nintendo Today render of the Switch 2 charging grip is not a charging grip. Oh my gosh. So literally, this is it. This is on the Nintendo Today app. You can take a 3D look at the Joy-Con 2 charging grip. I am not kidding when I say this is on the Nintendo Today app. When I initially saw this headline, because I hadn't checked Nintendo Today yet, I thought it was an absolute joke. But if you go back to here and see me, no, it's right there. There's your Nintendo Today app. There's your charging grip thing. Here's the problem. That's not actually a charging grip. That's what I'm getting into. This is not actually a charging grip. Nintendo, you have had really crappy messaging. Now, you might look at this and go, well, from this angle, you don't know that it's not a charging grip, Nate. Okay, fine. How about we go to the back of it? Oh, look, there's no GL or GR button. The back paddles are gone. And when you move the 3D thing around, there's no USB-C charging grip either. There's no USB-C port. There's no USB-C port. This is the standard grip that comes with the console. This is not, as the image says, the Joy-Con 2 charging grip. This is extremely, extremely frustrating. And you might think, Nate, this isn't that big of a deal, but it is. This is going out to potentially millions of people who have this application downloaded, and it's literally misinformation directly from Nintendo, and in particular, Nintendo of America. I don't know if this is happening on other people's Nintendo Today apps. I can only vouch for what's happening here in North America. But again, Nintendo, why are you messing up the messaging so bad? You wanted to show off the charging grip, but you didn't show it off. You showed off the standard grip. Why did you call it a charging grip? Multiple times. That's not what it is. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who at Nintendo is making some of these decisions. There's clearly a ton of miscommunication between the departments right now at Nintendo of America. And what's baffling is that something like this is now public information. We know what the charging grip is. We have images of it. People have actually held the damn thing and played it. People have used the charging grip at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience. How do you mess this up? It's just... So now people might start thinking legitimately, and I can't blame them, oh, the charging grip doesn't look like it has a USB-C port. Is it wireless charging? I thought there were paddles. Maybe there's no paddles on the charging grip. So now when they buy the charging grip, it might actually legitimately be completely different. Or here's the worst thing. here's the worst part. Because it's actually the standard grip that comes with your Switch 2, people might assume they have the charging grip and they just don't know how to use it. That sucks. So Nintendo, I can't anymore with this. I can't. And unfortunately, the hits don't stop coming today as more shocking news, surprising news comes out about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 editions. And this isn't about the DLC. It's about your save files not being compatible with Nintendo Switch Online save backups. Go over here, and it says Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and Mario Party Jamboree don't support cloud saves according to Nintendo.de. They said, is this a mistake? And, they have links directly to the websites and everything. And you can see down here, people talking about it in the comments. Is this because of the new item trading system? That has nothing to do with Jamboree, of course. But I find this interesting because it's like, okay, well, where can we see this actually posted in English? Well, right here. This is off the Nintendo UK website. Please note, this software does not support the Nintendo Switch Online paid memberships save data cloud backup feature. And of note, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom do support that feature, as does Mario Party on Nintendo Switch 1. So it looks like, well, you can transfer your saves over and use them in the Switch 2 Upgrade Edition. Doing so will make it no longer work at cloud save backup. So there's no official way to back up your Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild save files on Nintendo Switch 2, joining the ranks of things like Splatoon and Animal Crossing and Pokemon. So while Nintendo has a number of games like this is still not great news because it's a feature being taken away that Nintendo's sweeping under the rug and not being upfront and transparent with. They're making us have to dig through websites for this. And that's the worst part about this, is having to dig through websites. And I don't know why Nintendo's making us do this stuff. I don't know why we have to clear up misinformation on their own Nintendo Today app. And now this, my brain hurts. All right, Nintendo, you're making my brain hurt with some of these decisions. And I do understand that code-wise, there could be reasons why Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Mario Party Jamboree, they were never designed with some of these features in Switch 2 in mind. So when you're trying to add these features on, it breaks the cloud save backup, and without like recompiling or recoding the whole thing, maybe you can't find a way to make it work, especially with the item trading being on a phone. I get it. I get there's additional complications, but just be upfront about it. Let people know, hey, if you transfer your save file over to Switch 2 and play the Switch 2 Enhanced Edition, you can't back it up anymore. That's something people are going to want to know. So maybe they start new files, which, credit to you, you did give multiple save files on Switch 2. Maybe they want to start new files instead of messing up their original save file and not actually being able to back that up. I'm just saying, Nintendo, transparency, it goes a long way, even if it's bad news. Transparency is something I fully believe in at my channel. Be transparent. And at least they're being transparent in some ways. That takes us to this next topic that deals with the Switch 2 compatibility issues with games. Nintendo has been transparent on this big time, and we have an update over here on Go Nintendo about this. So this is the old list that, we didn't really go through the whole list, but we kind of showed it, all the list of games that have some compatibility issues. Some of them will work, some of them will work with issues, some of them won't boot, yada, yada. Well, they gave some additional insight on this. So Nintendo has also shared the status of their compatibility test for Switch 2 games. And it says status here, updated April 1st, 2025. Next update is planned for later in April. So there's the no issues during basic compatibility testing. So, this is Nintendo games. You can see pretty much all Nintendo games have no compatibility issues because Nintendo's probably already fixed those compatibility issues outside of the not compatible list, which is a very, very tiny sliver at the bottom on the left. But then you see the partner games, which is like over 15,000 games. Only about 25% or so have literally no issues, for basic compatibility testing. But then there's a huge chunk of them that can be started, but further tests are in progress. So these games may or may not have any issues. They're not sure because they're not fully tested. So in other words, the majority of the library actually might be okay. They just, haven't fully tested the game start to finish. Obviously, testing like that takes a long time. But then you get to the one where game is playable and they have discovered issues, and then they found issues, were found literally when you start the game up. So and then a few games that aren't compatible. So I do think that this is Nintendo being transparent about backwards compatibility. I think this is actually the opposite of what was in the last couple of stories. So thank you for that. And Nintendo makes it clear, like the Joy-Con Labo kits, a bunch of them don't really work, or like very specific parts of them will still work because they only use the Switch 1 Joy-Con, but anything that has to have the tablet attached to it, like might work, but it won't work in the same way. Nintendo being transparent about this is actually really cool. And then this is just the list, of games that can be played with Switch 2, but only with the original Joy-Con. Ring Fit Adventure. So they're saying Ring Fit Adventure works. You just have to use the original Joy-Con. 1-2 Switch, Everybody's 1-2 Switch, Game Builder Garage, Nintendo Switch Sports, and WarioWare Move. And I'm kind of surprised with Switch Sports that they couldn't find a way to make that work with the Joy-Con 2s, but it is what it is. There's also been an update here that, hey, they're not worried about compatibility with Fortnite on Switch 1 because on day one, there will be a Switch 2 version of the game that completely replaces it. It's an all-new version of the game, so that's a thing that, hey, you don't got to worry about that cross-compatibility because you'll just download the new version. It's a free game download, right? Free play. And fitness boxing is also going to be updated as well to fix problems on Switch 2. So I do appreciate this transparency from Nintendo, kind of the polar opposite of the last couple of stories. And look, Nintendo's transparency continues with pre-orders in Japan. Look, pre-orders in Japan it's been rough, and we're just talking about on Nintendo's own website. Retailers are doing all these lotteries and things, which they have to do. Nintendo has clearly their own lottery style system. We actually know about that. It's a very similar system they're using here in the US for the My Nintendo store. But as we go look at Nintendo Japan and we scroll down here, we'll see that they have got a second wave lottery happening. It'll start on April 28th. 2025, and the conditions to enter the lottery are the exact same as the conditions to enter the first lottery, but the first lottery was wild. The Nintendo website was down for nearly a week. It was struggling that much with the demand coming in for these pre-orders. Obviously, that has simmered down a bit now, and the first wave of that's being sent out on April 24th, but the second wave begins on the 28th. I wish everyone in Japan luck on getting your pre-order in through the My Nintendo store, which is obviously one of the better ways to get things in. Now we get to the Mario Kart news that we've teased many times. Look, you guys may have seen the story by now, but I want to add some context to it. So Nintendo of America announced that there'll be roughly 15 minutes on this direct. So roughly means it's probably going to go a little bit over. We have now noticed a trend when Nintendo says roughly or around that basically they're going to go over the minutes they say, but it's not quite 20 minutes, right? It's not about 20 minutes. It's not about 25 minutes. It's probably between 15 to 18 minutes here. And this has made some people panic a little bit because they're like, well, geez, Nintendo, that's really, really short. You clearly don't have a lot to announce. There won't be no story mode. Well, I went to the Nintendo Direct page, and I wanted to see context for game-only directs. And there definitely have been some longer ones going up to like 30 minutes. But as you scroll down here, you'll definitely see some shorter ones as well for game-specific directs. Super Mario Bros. Wonder was also roughly 15 minutes, and there was actually a lot packed into that direct. I remember that direct distinctly. As we scroll down again, you'll see the Splatoon one. That obviously had a lot packed in as well, and that one was 30 minutes. Obviously, people would love a 30-minute direct, but again, we've already seen a lot of Mario Kart, so really we only want to see new stuff, right? Roughly 20 minutes for Xenoblade 3, obviously 20 minutes for Animal Crossing New Horizons. This was the one where they announced the big DLC and everything. So as you go through all of this stuff, you'll see that, 7 minutes here, 15 minutes for Pokemon Sword and Shield. So you'll see that this is actually not that unusual to have 15 minutes. You see an Animal Crossing Mobile Direct that was 15 minutes. They have packed a lot into a roughly 15-minute directs in the past. So I don't take this as a panic because as long as they're not just going to take 5 minutes of it to like recap everything we already know about Mario Kart, which why would they when they just had a direct do that like 2 weeks ago? Chances are this direct is 15-ish minutes, a little bit more, of purely new content. And so I think it's actually okay. It's just going to depend on what that new content they have to communicate is. Also, I want to get rid of some misinformation and miscommunications out there. I saw some people actually being upset because the direct is up now. You can go check it out, but live chat is disabled. And I thought we were past misinformation on this, but I have seen some panic on socials. As you go over here and look, Nintendo disabled chat for the Mario Kart World Direct. This is on the Switch 2 Direct. But if you scroll down here, you see an easy clarification. And unfortunately, people don't pay attention. This is untrue. The live chats never go up until the stream itself is live, and this is true for Nintendo. They always have it disabled until it goes live 30 minutes before the Direct begins, give or take. This was the case with every prior Direct and the Treehouses, and he actually dug a little bit to the live reaction section to sort of show a screenshot proving this with the Direct we just had on April 2nd. So yeah, Nintendo always has live chat disabled until it actually is live, usually roughly 30 minutes before a Direct starts. So that's just the story there. I don't think, people got to be careful with that misinformation and dooming all the time. Make sure you get your facts right before you start talking about this stuff. Next, we go to Eurogamer. This is our final story today, and this deals with CD Projekt Red because, again, people want to know, will Witcher 3 get an upgrade on Switch 2? And it says our relationship with Nintendo. This obviously comes from an interview with CD Projekt Red. And it says our relationship with Nintendo goes back to the original Switch, where we released The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. We were happy with how the game was received by players, so when we heard about the more powerful Switch 2, we immediately thought it would be perfect platform for Cyberpunk 2077. This came from CD Projekt's gameplay technical design expert, Philip Downer, who told Eurogamer this, adding the studio was thrilled to be working with Nintendo again. All right, well, so what's going to happen with The Witcher 3? Also, can we get some clarification on this 7-week things? Was it like 7 weeks to get a build done, or is the build 7 weeks old? We've had conflicting reports. Well, we get both of those answered here. So it says, it's incredibly exciting to be a launch title for this new hardware. Alongside all the Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive features like motion controls, gyroscope implementation, the mouse sensor, and more, we can't wait to see how the community explores the game in new ways. Our team has been working passionately to make this happen, and for more than 7 weeks. To be clear, this misunderstanding arose because the build we showcased was finalized 7 weeks before we showcased it at Nintendo. Development has been ongoing for much longer as we're working to bring Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition to Nintendo Switch 2. So what they were trying to convey to people at the show wasn't that they made this build in 7 weeks. It was that the build was 7 weeks old and isn't representative of where the game currently is today. So any frame rate issues or things people are experiencing, bugs they might run into, some of that stuff might already be ironed out. It just so happens that this particular demo was finalized roughly 2 months before the event. That's always important to note to people who are playing it, that this isn't a current version. This is an older build of the game, because that does mean that we actually don't know what the final build plays like. This was just to give an example of the work they've been doing on Switch 2. Now, as we get back into here, we talk about things, like trying to get stuff about The Witcher 3. It says the team has done a great job in order to release each and every update. And now we're looking forward to seeing an entirely new audience as well as members of our community explore Night City with the Switch 2 version. And they literally don't answer the question about Witcher 3. They avoid it entirely. There appears to not be a Nintendo Switch 2 version of that game. Now, that's going to do it for all the news we have for you today regarding Nintendo Switch 2. I want to thank all of you guys for being here. You guys are absolutely awesome and amazing. Be sure to tune in to the Nintendo Byte podcast tonight at 8 p.m. Central. We'll be talking about some of the technical specs and stuff behind the Nintendo Switch 2. And does it really compare to a PS4? Is it more like a Series S? Is it more like a PlayStation 5? Or is it kind of its own thing? We'll dive into that tonight. Catch you guys in the next video.